Punnett squares, helping us predict what our babies are going to look like. Punnett squares. These two people met, fell in love, and had a baby. Their baby inherited the trait of having dimples, just like its parents. Not having dimples is dominant over having dimples, which is recessive. Because of this, we know the genes in both parents were two lowercase d's. In this case, the baby inherited a recessive gene from each parent. The baby also had dimples. These two people met, fell in love, and they also had a baby. But their baby turned out to be a crazy blonde-haired kid. How could this be? Genetics helps us explain why. Brown hair is dominant to blonde hair. If we look at the genes of the father and the genes of the mother, we can use this to figure out if it's possible for the baby to be blonde. In this case, if the baby inherited two recessive genes, he could be blonde and he could be their baby. Scientists use something called a Punnett square to figure out how often this could happen. Punnett squares predict the number of times your children will inherit certain traits. With the father on top and the mother on the side, we can fill in the Punnett square like this. Each square represents a set of genes that the baby could inherit. If we look at the four squares created by the Punnett square, we can see that out of 1, 2, 3, 4 squares, 1, 2, 3 of them would be brown hair. So if these two parents reproduced, 75% of the time they would have a baby with brown hair. But of the 1, 2, 3, 4 genes that the baby could inherit, only 1 out of the 4 would inherit blonde hair. So if these two parents reproduced, 25% of the time they would have a baby with blonde hair. So it's no mistake, 2 brown-haired parents could have a baby with blonde hair. Meet these two people. They too fell in love, reproduced, and had a baby. Let's look at the trait of having freckles. Not having freckles is dominant to having freckles. We can use this to help figure out the mother's genes. We know she must have 2 recessive genes for freckles. If the baby will get freckles, it depends on the father's genes. In this case, our father has 2 dominant genes. We can use a Punnett square to predict what their baby will look like. If we fill in the Punnett square as follows, you will see the different gene combinations for their baby. Each square represents a combination that their baby could inherit. If we take a look at all of the possible combinations, 1, 2, 3, and 4, we see that out of the 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4 inherited the trait for not having freckles. This means 100% of the time these parents reproduce, their baby will not have freckles. Punnett squares, helping us to figure out what your crazy baby's gonna look like.